Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for not giving up on me, because I have not given up on you. I have not. Yes, we did miss our first episode ever. And when I say miss, I mean no episode was out that day. For those of you that don't know, last Thursday, there was no way we could make it happen. Not that there was no way, but it was a little short notice, short on funds, short on everything. Yes, maybe I could have rented out a studio for the time being or whatever. Didn't think of it at the time. Shit happens, you know. Shit does happen, but we're back. The leading up to last Thursday was a pretty tough time. I was sick. I was real sick. Oh, God, I felt like shit. Getting woken up out of my sleep by a cough. Just not good. And then you mix that in with how I was feeling just naturally in that time frame because I had no weed. Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how you go, 9 years of your life using a crutch and imagine someone just says, nope, pulled right out from under you. But the whole time you're using it, you don't you know it's a crutch, but you're like, I'll always have this, so I'll be fine. And then you move to a shit town in Connecticut in hopes to pursue a dream that is very far-fetched and probably won't happen in the grand scheme of things. And you do that, and you put yourself at a complete disadvantage in every possible facet in life. Financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all these things. And the only thing that kind of keeps it together sometimes is weed. But then you go real broke. It's the end of the month, your job is dog shit, and you're spending money, and you got credit card bills and the whole thing, and you get real worried, and you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? And you can't buy any weed. You can't buy any weed. So at the peak of stress where you want your crutch, you want that sweet release of dope. You break down that dope, you break it down, you put it in the grinder. My grinder's gold. It's solid. It's a nice solid gold grinder. It's great. You grab it and it just feels like it belongs in your hands. You grab it, you pop her open. It's still got resin from years and years of use, and you grab your weed, you grab a nug, and you break it into little pieces because you don't want to shove the whole nug in there. You can, but this one you don't really need to. And it's you put it in there and you grind it, and the nice teeth. It's not the pointy teeth; it's the teeth that have they're like diamonds. Those are the best ones. You get the diamond teeth, and you crunch that weed up. You crunch it nice. You clink it on the table, clink. Then you grab your backwood. Your nice little cancer stick, the cancer stick that you convinced yourself is not that bad. You take out most of the tobacco. It's not that bad, right? All you're using is the leaf. All you do is smoke it every day, multiple times a day. It's just the leaf. It's the leaf. And there's weed in the middle. And since it's not tobacco, it's fine, right? You suck in the weed, and the weed is not nearly as bad for your lungs as something. That's from me being sick. Don't worry about it. That would be bad, right? Oh my God. But anyway, you got your backwood ready. You lick it, right? You lick it down. You soak it up. You get a little stomach ache because of the flavoring. Maybe you got the honey flavor or the dark stout, my personal favorite. You suck on it, and then you get a little stomach ache. You wait a second. You look off in the distance. You kind of just you squint it out. You ever have like a stomach ache or a headache, and you just you squint your eyes till it goes away. You squint. Okay, all right, and then you go back down, and you roll your weed, and you roll it up how fat or loose as you like, or however you want to do it. And it's a real ritual. It is a real ritual. That's why the natives sat down. They did it in a different way with the pipe. And you could do it with a pipe too, but I like this whole process. And you roll it and you get it so perfect because you got time. You're in your house, right? I'm in my house. I'm not worried about being in the car, and I'm in no rush. I'm here alone. And I can get that backwood to the perfect size, and you snip the ends off, you push the butt in on either side, you get it real good, you get it nice, and then you smoke, and you're good to go, and you inhale, and then now you can go out, you can do your thing, and it really just kind of quiets all of the nonsense that kind of happens, all the bullshit that kind of, says, do you really feel like doing this? Are you going to go out? All the things that you kind of talk yourself out of, and it's one of the few things in your life that you really enjoy. You enjoy smoking weed, and it helps you, right? It's an enhancer. It's just like a cup of coffee for some people, just like I got right here. And you, and it just kind of, it helps you get out there and go. Now imagine, that thing just gets completely ripped, right? Completely ripped out. The thing that you've done for such a long time. Doesn't need to be weed, right? I'm just using weed as an example. It doesn't need to be weed. It could be a hobby. It could have been something that you really enjoyed doing. I know, some people, they'll go back to the baseball park and hit balls when they're feeling upset. They get a bucket of balls, they hit them, they crack them out into left field, and they reminisce. Well, I remember when I could, whatever. And it makes you feel better. And that's the thing. People get upset when there's things that make them, not everybody, but people who may have had problems with addiction in some other sense. Maybe they think they have an addictive personality. They're nervous to do things that they enjoy, or they just have a natural aversion to things they enjoy, the way they were raised, the way they were traumatized, whatever the fuck it is. There aren't a ton of things that make you happy. So when you find one, guys, hold on to her. Hold on to her. Or be ready for a massive transformation. Okay, be ready for a massive transformation. It's just like you hear an athlete. It's the age-old story of the athlete that wants to retire but can't, plays way past their prime, right? And the worst is when you see it with fighters. They fight way past their prime and they get knocked out. They get brain damage. It's sad to see because they cannot find the next thing that makes them happy. This was the thing that they did for a really long time. And I don't mean to equate my marijuana addiction to the emotional roller coaster of being a professional fighter or of being a professional athlete in general, because I would never know what that's really about. But it's that same sentiment of like, if you find something that you really enjoy, and it's not the worst thing, right? Like if I said I had a heroin addiction, you guys would be like, Jesus, Antonio. But a weed addiction, there's worse things to be addicted to, right? Gambling is a bad one, right? Gambling is bad. Gambling, I think, is one of the worst ones. You could fuck everything up with gambling, because you live, right? It's not like you're doing a drug that'll kill you eventually, or you're going to the hospital and you're doing these things. And it's bad while you're alive, right? But gambling, unless you kill yourself, the actual act of you partaking in your addiction won't kill you, unless you're borrowing from the mob or something that could get you killed. But in that span of what felt like 2 weeks, I think it was around 2 weeks where I didn't have any Mary Jane. It was a big breakdown for me. There were problems I was addressing, things that I hadn't, because 2 weeks for me, guys, not smoking weed, it was tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It was tough. And as I'm talking to you now, I've only smoked like a little bit, right? I'd like to maybe lower my consumption. I don't know. I've said that before and I just hop right back on the fucking horse. But this specific episode was a tough one. Like, it was tough, mainly because it came at the end of the month. It came at the end of the month, which is naturally a stress-filled time for a lot of people, especially people who are struggling with money and that kind of thing, because bills come at the end of the month or the first of the month, which is the end of the month. So it was a weird mix of things, and it was the perfect time for me to start reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, which, I probably didn't even need to say that it was by David Goggins, but it's like one of the most read fucking books in general, right? As far as recent, because David Goggins is such a powerful force on social media. You see him and you're like, this guy's a fucking animal. And then you read his book, you read about his story, and you're like, oh, this guy literally willed himself into becoming an absolute savage. And you could take it to that degree if you wanted to. But he's at the very furthest degree, the very highest degree. If you're even on that wavelength at all, you're doing good for you. You're doing all right for yourself. You're doing better you're trying to do better for yourself, And reading the book, man, it literally has lit a fire under my ass in terms of output, right? In terms of going and doing the shit that I'm meant to be doing, which I've been doing this whole time, but this book is kind of like opening my eyes to different abilities, It's kind of putting in front of me how soft I've gotten in my old age. No. When I was younger, guys, before any of this podcast shit was in my head, when comedy was just something I was going to do to be cool, when, whatever, right? Before when I thought I was going to be a financial guy, when I thought I was going to be a millionaire, right? Selling people insurance, selling people stocks and bonds and doing the whole thing, wearing the suits, driving the cars, doing the blow. That's what I thought. That's, where I was at one point. But in those days, when it came to physical training, there was no questioning myself. There was no debating with myself. There was no, maybe we should, No, I was running 3 miles a day for 3 days a week, right? 3 times a week, 3 miles a day. Does that make sense? Yeah. I was lifting 4 to 5 times a week, different kinds of lifts. I was doing explosive work. I was pushing sleds. I was doing footwork ladders and sprints and box jumps, and I was deadlifting and squatting, and I was doing ab day. I was doing all these things, cardio, running, the whole nine, guys. And I never had a thought about it. And then you get a little older, and different things come into play, and, lives change, and responsibilities come up, and whatever else, and you wane on those other things. But here's the thing, guys. Anything good that I've ever done has only happened when I'm keeping my body in some kind of shape, right? In some kind of high-performing shape, because if I don't do that, then I feel worse. Like, I've come to the conclusion now that there are certain things to believe in, right? Even though I'm on here, I preach all this crazy belief in nothing and whatever. Yes, for the most part, I have very little belief in things, very little belief in ideas, very little, belief in constructs and the whole thing. I barely believe in myself. I believe in what I'm doing, right? I saw that quote somewhere. I forgot who said it. I think it was Jimmy Page. I don't believe in myself, but I believe in what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is trying to become a complete person. A complete person. That might not be everybody's goal. That might not be everybody's thing. Some people might be fine with being really good at a few things. And no matter how hard you are, no matter how well-rounded of a person you are, there is going to be somewhere you lack. So that is, it's rare to be absolutely unequivocally complete. But you want to get as close as you can, right? You want to get as balanced in your life as you can. You want to be as physically balanced. You want to be fucking smart, right? You want to be able to hold conversation. You want to have money. You want to be romantic. You want to have all these things. These are all parts of life, right? These are all aspects of shit. So in order for me to even do those things, they all need to work together. They all need to work together. I'm not going to go out and do comedy if I'm not feeling good about myself. And if I'm not feeling good about myself, it's probably because I haven't exercised or I haven't done something good for my body. I've been eating like shit, or I've been drinking or treating myself, bad, right? And vice versa, right? Sometimes I don't go to the gym because I haven't been doing comedy, and that's the anchor. But the key is trying to find a balance of all these things. And it's incredibly difficult. That's the real part of life that people are like, when they say, oh, wait till you get in the real world, that's what they're talking about, right? When you're a kid and you're in middle school and the teacher says, wait till you get out there in the real world, and you're a kid, you're like, well, what's this bitch talking about? This is the real world. We're in school. This is the real world, right? School. And then you get out and you're like, wait a second, I need to be a person, right? I need to be some kind of a person. I need to try and do something, maybe, right? You don't have to. You don't have to. There's all different kinds of ways to live, right? There's 1,000 ways to live. But they all require you doing something, right? Unless you want to be homeless. That's the absence of doing something. But even if you lived a really minimalist, survivalist fucking lifestyle in the woods, you still got to do shit, right? Your work isn't bound to financial means or economic prosperity. Your work's not bound to that. You're not getting paid, but if you want to survive, you better start chopping trees. You better start harvesting. You got to farm and hunt and fish and weave and grow. You got to do all this shit. But that's the thing, guys. It's that is the true challenge in life. And it's going to sound weird, but this real extreme low that I had recently it was super eye-opening because it mixed with me reading this book. And I'm about halfway through it. Again, Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. I'm about halfway through it, and it really is motivational. It's so motivational. It's so powerful, guys, that I... Get this, all right? Here's a story about what happened last week. Last week, I think it was Wednesday. Yes, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I got out of work. I came home. I was going to do the podcast. This is when things weren't working. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. I couldn't get it to work. And I said, fuck it. We're just going to have to scrap it. Whatever. No problem. We'll move on. Fuck the rest of my night up, though, because that's what I was going to do. I was going to do that, get it ready, whatever. And then if I got it done in time, I could go out and do comedy, or I could chill or whatever. And that didn't happen. That's not how it played out. So I went ahead and drove back home to Providence. And still sick, right? Still fairly sick. Not incredibly sick, but fairly sick. Sleep deprived. Didn't sleep well while I was being sick. I probably slept, a couple hours a night for 4 or 5 days. It was bad. And I drove to my buddy's house in Providence, and I stayed up all night with them, more or less. Didn't go to bed again till 3 o'clock. My idea that night was to go to bed because I had worked in the daytime. And I'm like, I'm going to go home and go right the fuck to bed. I'm exhausted. After I do the podcast, whatever, I'm going to go right to bed. I'm going to get a good night's sleep, try and get it done. None of that panned out. I knew I didn't have work on Thursday, so I was like, fuck it, going to go hang out with the guys. Went down to Providence, went to see James, smoked some weed, smoked a cigar. Went to my other buddy's house. We stayed up till 3 a.m. watching the Lakers documentary. Really fucking good, by the way. I don't care about basketball at all, but that documentary was fucking really good. It's like a mini series. I forget what it was called already. It was like the early days of the Showtime Lakers. But anyway, stayed up all night, fucking off, right, doing stupid shit. Slept on my buddy's couch again, 5 hours. Woke up, didn't even get to shower. Just kind of grabbed my bag and left. And because he had work in the morning, so I couldn't just lounge. And I slept on a couch. It was shitty. And I woke up still sick, still tired. I said, fuck. And I was supposed to meet my buddy Raph later on that day, who's been on the podcast, because as you guys know, we're working on putting together some videos from the Portland, Maine Comedy Fest, which are taking longer than I had expected, which makes sense. And but that wasn't going to be till later on. So I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? And I went to Dunkin' Donuts, and I sat there, got a coffee, and I started reading some more of this book. And I just sat there, and I sat there for maybe an hour and a half, and I got real deep into it. And you want to know what got me up off the table? Or you want to know why I left and went to go run 1.25 miles after that? It was because of what I was reading in the book. He was talking about going through Oh my God, what's the SEAL? Hell Week. Hell Week in Buds. Buds is the SEAL team training, for those of you that don't know. Some of the hardest shit that you're ever going to do, okay? Some of the hardest fucking shit that you're going to do. And David Goggins is doing it with awful circumstances. Broken legs, like he had to duct tape his legs and fucking, just awful. He had to do it 3 times, guys, which is insane. And I'm sitting here reading this, and the night before, I was laying on my buddy's couch thinking, I'm kind of fucking things up right now. Just in general, right? These past 10 days or however long it was that I was without weed and in turmoil and unable to do anything, it kind of came to a head as I was laying on my buddy's couch at 3:30 in the morning, knowing that I was going to be up at 9:30 in the morning. And, keeping me awake and whatever else. So that night, that all kind of came to a head, and I was thinking about it. I was like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? I'm kind of fucking things up. And I sat there, and I read, and I got up, and I said, fuck this. And I drove to the track over at, there's a high school in Providence, and there's a running track behind it. And I didn't even think that it was the middle of the day. It was fucking school time. Kids are in class and shit. There's kids coming outside for gym or whatever the fuck they're doing. And I got out of my car. I parked my car. I didn't even put my headphones in. I didn't have running shoes. It wasn't the perfect circumstances. And I walked the fuck over to the track, and I did 5 laps around that motherfucker. That's 1.25 miles. I haven't ran in who knows how long. I haven't, I didn't eat right for that whole span of time. I was still kind of sick. I was sniffling the whole time and coughing, and I couldn't breathe right, and it was terrible, and it was, I didn't want to do it. But I finished it. I actually told myself I was only going to run 1 mile, and I was like, fuck you, we're going to do 1.25 miles. We're going to do 5. I said I was going to do 4 laps, and I did 5 instead, because this book is legit some of the most powerful shit that I've read so far. It's the only thing that I've read that literally got me up to go do some shit like this, really got me up and switched. And on Thursday of last week, that moment of reading the book and getting myself to get up and go out and do the shit that I never want to do. I never want to run anymore. I don't want to do that shit anymore. It sucks. It sucks so bad, but it's the easiest way to callous your mind, because all you have to do is get up and run. Just get up and run. You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to do, I like doing that too, and I do that. But as far as like just quick and easy mind callousing fucking weaponry that you can just pick up and go with, a jog is the best, because it sucks. I fucking hate running. I never liked running. Never. Even when I would do it 3 times a week. I never enjoyed it. Not once. I shouldn't say not once. Sometimes you get a runner's high. It feels really good. But a lot of the times, dude, it's garbage. And the beginning is the worst. It's one of the worst fucking feelings. The end is the worst. Sometimes you get a peak in the middle, and it's nice, and it feels like, the world could end, and you could just keep running. But that doesn't take away from the pain in your legs, right? I might not have that burning, panting sensation, but the pain in your legs, the whole thing, you're like, oh man, I just want to be done. The boredom, the repetitive nature of just jogging a far distance, usually the same route, right? That's what I would do, the same route, and it was painful, guys. I didn't want to do it. And but in that moment where I got up, where I felt like I was at my lowest, guys, I felt maybe the lowest in a long time. In that night where I was laying there, it was literally like the peak of feeling like shit, arguably. Maybe not arguably. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was bad. And I was able to read this fucking book, go out and get it. Get after the run is what I mean. And it literally has influenced me and pushed me enough to where that same day I sparred, I got my ass kicked, and that motivated me even more because I felt like shit. Yes, I was sick, but I also hadn't sparred in a while. Yes, I was tired, but I also hadn't trained in a while. I was dead. I had no cardio. I couldn't do it, guys. I felt awful. You know how awful that feels when you were at a point somewhere? You were at a point where you could do this shit effortlessly, and now you haven't done it in so long that you're like, especially something like sparring or fighting. It's like now you're getting your ass kicked, you know? And it's not like I was getting my ass kicked, but I was tired, and I would have gotten my ass kicked if my sparring partners were dickheads. And thankfully they weren't. But these things lit a fire up under my ass because you ever do something, for some people it's a hobby. For some people it's not physical stuff. Like maybe you played the guitar when you were a kid and you were real obsessed with it and you got really good and you stopped and then you pick it up again and you're like, man, I used to be way better at this shit. I used to devote so much time to this shit. I was so good. And now I'm just, I'm not that good. I used to feel good when I would play the guitar, you know? They used to make me feel all right. And now I feel bad when I pick up the guitar because I'm not as good at it. You know, that's the thing. The feeling changes when you realize that you've dropped in your ability to do it. When you were once proficient at something, and then it's like if you could read, it's like if you just stop being able to read at a level that you're supposed to be, right? If you're fucking 30 years old, but all of a sudden you haven't read in so long, you pick up a book, right? And you're like, and you can't fucking read right, you're like, fuck this, I don't want to read this goddamn book. You know, it takes forever to get through a fucking page. I can't. Like, I don't want to do it. That's what it is with everything, guys. And the only way to combat that shit is to fucking go head on and blast through it. Again, you guys know I try not to do the motivational shit on here. I try not to do it too often. But this particular instance that I'm telling you guys about has been so powerful, to me at least, that I feel like it's, you know, part of what I want to talk about today. And I'm still riding that momentum. And I know that momentum is going to crash, guys. This is the thing. You got to know that there aren't going to be days where this, you know, your momentum's going to carry you. Your discipline is what's going to matter. And for me and for so many other people, discipline is a tough thing. People are disciplined when it comes to their jobs. They're disciplined when it comes to, obligations that they really can't get out of, right? And if you're not, then you're fucked, right? You're not going to get anywhere. Things like, things like what your doctor tells you, right? Your doctor tells you to stop doing something. Smart people will say, all right, we're gonna try our best, and we'll come back in 6 months and see where the numbers are then, and if we still need to do it to the same capacity, we will, and we'll do it for as long. And if I have to do it my whole life, then I will do it that way. You know, things like that. People are disciplined with that. People who care about their health, the right way. Things in terms of money, right? Monetary situations, a job. If you have a job, you're going to wake up in the fucking morning. You know there's bills. You don't want to wake up at 5 a.m., but you know there's fucking bills. You know there is. And if there wasn't that shit hanging over your head, right, you wouldn't get up. You wouldn't get up and do it. But people don't have that same shit hanging over their head when they have to make it up themselves, right? Think about that. When you have to convince yourself that waking up at 5 a.m. and going for a run right now is what I have to do to be better, you know, if you don't make it so urgent, if you don't make it the same sense of urgency you get when that alarm goes off and you know that you have to be at work at 7 and it takes you an hour to get there, an hour to get ready. So you need to hurry the fuck up and get going. You know, if you don't have that same sense of urgency with the other things that you're doing, I mean, it's not going to happen for you. And that's where it gets tough for people because you can just back out of it, right? You can just say, I'll be better some other day, or, there's tomorrow, right? There's always tomorrow. That's the thing. That's the thing that I realized I do. Because it is true, right? It is true. Usually there is tomorrow, right? Usually there's tomorrow. Tomorrow does come. Often. what happens when you're at a point where you need to do these things, but you can't because you waited around like, you have all this time. And what I'm referring to, again, I'll draw back to myself here. Before I got sick, I was sick from last Sunday to about while I'm talking to you guys now. But I'm really not that. Like, my chest is a little, like my voice is a little weird, and I'm coughing still here and there. But before that, I wasn't feeling well mentally. I wasn't feeling well with myself and the whole thing, as happens, right? It happens with people. That's no surprise. I wasn't lifting. I was barely doing comedy. I was writing, definitely, always trying to do something in that direction, but I wasn't going out and doing comedy. I didn't want to see people. I was upset with where my life was in general. So I wasn't doing the things that I enjoy. I wasn't doing the things that are the pieces to my life. The comedy, the exercise. I wasn't doing them because I was feeling bad. And I was like, you know what? We'll just ride this sadness out, and eventually I'll get back to it, and we'll be okay. And then what happens? I get sick. So sick that I can't go to the gym. I can't exercise. I can't go out and do comedy. I can't do these things. I can't. I just won't be able to. So, back to the point that I was making before, yes, we do get tomorrow very often. But when tomorrow doesn't come, and I don't mean death, but when some circumstance arises that tomorrow isn't an option anymore, you're going to be wishing you took advantage of today, right? And I try really hard in my everyday life to live for the day. But it's tough because when people say that shit, they don't think about the other variables, your mental state, right? People don't consider your mental state, and the thing is the best way to work on that is literally to stay active. You have to find a way to stay. You have to force yourself to get up and go do some fucking thing, because, like I said, God forbid you're in a slump and then you sprain an ankle. No more jogging. Now you got to wait. What are you going to do now? Jogging was what helped you. And you took it for granted. You took it for granted in a moment where you knew you needed help from yourself. You knew you needed help from yourself. You didn't do it. You didn't do the thing that literally benefits you on a daily basis. You didn't do it, right? And now you want to do it because you can't have it. That's it's a tough place to be in. It is a tough, and now you have to adapt from there. Okay, I fucked up. I can't go to the gym now. I'm sick. Now you got to figure something else out, how to be productive. We'll read a book. We'll do some joke writing. We'll do something, right? Whatever it is in your life, you got to find a way to. I saw a video of Khabib, and he was talking about how he was always in the gym, even when he's injured, broken arm, broken rib. He's like, I don't care. If I'm not training, I'm watching. I'm learning. I want to learn something. And I felt that way too, when I was younger, and I would go to karate. If I was injured or I had to take some time off or I wouldn't make it that night, I would try to come, at least watch the class, watch an hour of the class, something, pick something up from it. That's really all you can do in those circumstances, and it's better than doing nothing, guys. It really is better than doing nothing. So don't take that shit for granted. Whatever it is that makes you feel good, do it. Smoke the weed. Do the crack. Bang the prostitutes. Do it all. Just don't get out of hand. But here's the thing, guys. Right now, I'm riding the high of this book and the whole thing. But what's really going to matter is when things get tough again, when things get dark again, because they will. You can't think that they won't. right? Because things will. Maybe at the end of this month, right? We're in October now. We're going to see if at the end of this month I'm struggling with money or whatever. Can I maintain this mindset? Can I maintain this shit even when things are bad? That's when it matters the most, right? It's easy to do it when you're happy. It's easy to do it when you've had an enlightening moment. But can you carry it on? Can you do it? That's what I'm going to be waiting for. And you guys will see it. You guys will, through this medium that I've created here. Which, by the way, guys, I do want to extend my greatest thanks for sticking it out to this point. We're getting some traction on YouTube. I kind of can't believe what's happening on YouTube. I am starting to get some traffic to the videos, and it seems like you guys are getting into it a little bit more. I'm very happy that right now this Wednesday old school clip thing is kind of working. It's drawing people in, and we're just getting closer to making something serious happen with this show, guys. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much. Well, we now that we've gotten all that shit out, I did want to get some of that life shit out of the way. I figure it's time we talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Jeffrey Dahmer, the newest serial killer adaptation that we are glorifying. Isn't that interesting? I've spoken about this on here before. We love to take these murderous fucking animals and talk about them as much as we can, right? Talk about them. I mean, how many Jeffrey Dahmer pieces are there out there in general? Okay? How many of them? I mean, on ID Network, on True TV, on whatever the fuck else, on YouTube, the free ones, just everywhere. There is so much serial killer shit, especially Jeffrey Dahmer. But he is another one that was a big one, right? Like, they did Richard Ramirez. They haven't done Manson yet. He wasn't a serial killer, but he was a cult leader. They haven't done an adaptation of him yet, right? They haven't made him a star just yet. But, I mean, they cast Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, one of the most beautiful men that have ever existed, right? They grabbed that motherfucker and made him one of the most ruthless serial killers that's ever existed, right? And I get it. I understand. Their point was like, we're gonna make sure that people know that Ted Bundy was a suave, handsome, smooth man. Okay, I get it. But did you have to pick the one that women literally moisten up around? And I don't mean physically around. I mean, if the TV is on and Zac Efron is on and a woman is next to you, feel her vagina. It's hot. It's warm. Okay, there's heat radiating off of it. You could stick a cheese sandwich in between her lips, and it'll come out buttery and gooey like a delicious grilled cheese you'd eat at night with a little chocolate milk or so. You know what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking. I mean, pick someone who's like moderately handsome. I get it. I've seen pictures of Ted Bundy. The motherfucker wasn't an Adonis. Okay, he wasn't ugly, but he wasn't an Adonis, right? But they went ahead and they had to get the perfect specimen to play an absolute murderer because they know, number one, women love serial killer shit, right? And since they found that their target audience is that, why not get the sexiest motherfucker that ever lived to play, the main dude? I mean, what's next? We're gonna get Channing Tatum to play John Wayne Gacy. Get him dressed up as a fucking clown while he's killing kids. Give him a little bit of weight, but people will know it's Channing Tatum, right? They'll know. And then they go ahead and they get this other. Now Dahmer's the man of the hour. Jeffrey Dahmer, who's arguably worse than Ted Bundy. Now, I don't know the whole background behind these guys, but I know that Ted Bundy, a little bit of a ladies' man. He was a smooth talker, a sly guy. He could pick up ladies like nobody's business, right? And he'd bring them to his house, and he'd fuck them, and then he'd kill them, right? He'd kill them, and nobody ever knew. Nobody could find him. He was really good at it. He was real good. It was his kink, right? Fucking and killing. He was real good at that. He's like the rock star. He's like the glory boy of serial killers, right? He's not the GOAT. We'll get into the GOAT after. But he's he's one of the guys, right? He's the Mount Rushmore of serial killers. Arguably the one that most people know about. And then the next guy who's kind of like the antithesis of Ted Bundy. He is like the underground king, right? And that's Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer's the underground king. He would bring home men, right? And he might have been a smooth talker with men. He might have just be able to get men going, and he would bring guys home, and he would fuck them and kill them, but he would eat them, right? He would eat them, which is a little... Now, I don't know if Ted Bundy did any eating of the ladies that he killed, after they were dead. I'm sure he did it before, that dog. But he was one type of serial killer, and then you got another type of serial killer in Jeffrey Dahmer, who was literally a different breed, right? Again, arguably worse. Okay, eating people. The way he died was pretty. I don't want to say polarizing, but interesting maybe is the word. For those of you that don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer got his head bashed in jail, like smashed against a brick bench or a concrete wall or something. And he was quiet the entire time. Quiet the entire time. He probably didn't have much to say. He's like, you know what? This might be the best thing that's ever happened to me since I can't stop killing and eating everybody. I mean, maybe if they did this to me earlier on, maybe not to the point of death, but if they just beat my head in to where all I care about is colors and, I watch cartoons sometimes. I could live on a government subsidy. I never have to move out of my house. My parents, whatever. Maybe if they did that earlier on to him, things would have been different. But, c'est la vie. As is life. And now he's the one that's rocking the nation, baby. He's the one that everybody's getting behind. Jeffrey Dahmer. Have you watched Dahmer? It's sick. It's fucking twisted, man. It's nuts. And they went ahead and they got another handsome-ass motherfucker to play this guy. Because, again, who do they know is watching? The ladies. The ladies love it, guys. They love it. I'd like to see a serial killer movie where they actually are able to they do a little better casting, right? To get these these clean cut fucking specimen actors, right? And they're big actors, right? You want to get the big actors. You want to get the big, I understand, right? I understand. But there's a part of me that when I watch a serial killer documentary or docuseries or adaptation or whatever, there's a part of me that doesn't want to look at the guy from High School Musical. And now I have to imagine him being a ruthless woman killer. But, I digress. I understand. I did want to mention who the golden boy for serial killers are. Or the GOAT, I'm sorry. The golden boy is Ted Bundy, underground king Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, the GOAT, okay, let me take a sip of coffee here. This is the GOAT. This is the greatest of all time. There's no second place, okay? There's no second place. The Zodiac Killer. Zodiac Killer wins. He wins because he never got caught. And not only did he not get caught, he gave the police chances to catch him. Right? I mean, that guy he's got to be the best. He's the one who went the extra mile, okay? He's David Goggins in his book, he talks about taking souls. What he means by taking souls is being the one who puts in the most work. If you work in the office, you get there first and you show up last. Yeah, you show up last. You leave last, right? You stay. You want to be the baddest motherfucker in that office. You show up early. You're looking at charts. You're looking at this. You're ready to trade. You're ready to buy and sell. You're going all day. All day. You're calling different time zones. You know where places are. You know where it's 5 o'clock. You know where people are getting out of work, when, how, where. You've got the biggest cat. You're taking souls. If you're training for something, if you're training for a marathon and everyone else is running 50 miles a week, you're running 70, and you're lapping them. You're making them look like fools. You're getting up. You're training harder than everybody. You're dieting harder than everybody. You're taking souls. You're taking the soul of whatever it is that you're attacking. Zodiac Killer was able to take souls, of course, real ones, but he was the one putting in the extracurricular work. Okay, he was the one who was pushing the envelope, forcing everyone else to raise their bars. Do you think all the serial killers one day were sitting around a big table just looking at each other saying, how the fuck is this guy doing it? How in the fuck is this guy able to be so good at this shit? He's so goddamn good. Right now, all of us are sitting here. We could totally get busted. Totally get busted. If they kicked in the door, we'd all be fucked. Nobody even knows who the Zodiac Killer is, and he's killing people. He's killing people. He's sending them letters. He made his own language, his own alphabet. Jesus Christ, we can't compete, guys. We got to start. And he's a bar raiser. He's a bar raiser, guys. And that's why the Zodiac Killer's the go. We don't even know what he looks like. We don't even know. We have a vague idea, maybe, of what he looks like. He could be alive still. He could be dead. Who the fuck knows, guys? He is the guy from Saw, right? He's Jigsaw. He's the one. You know? He's the one. And it's just they haven't made a movie about him yet. I think that'd be interesting. It would be interesting because they'd never be able to show him. You know, they'd never be able to show him because it wouldn't be possible, right? Nobody knows what he looks like. People think he's Ted Cruz, right, from the pictures. That'd be funny, right, if Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. He might be, you know, and now he might be the GOAT, okay? Zodiac Killer might be the GOAT. Again, no second place. The Iceman, another bad motherfucker. Iceman was a cold motherfucker, man. Watch that guy. You watch the Iceman. That guy killed for literally no reason. It wasn't thrills. It wasn't any of that. He just killed because he could. I'll just kill. Fuck it. I like killing. And he did. He killed. I don't know if he killed as many people as he said he did, but they found a lot of dead people. So he did a good job, too. And he was ruthless. He lived it. Another soul taker. Another real deal soul taker. Push the envelope. Push the bar. These are who you want to idolize, guys. These are the people, the high performers, the people who don't give a fuck. They just bing, bing, bing. They're going to go. They're not negotiating with themselves. Should I kill? Should I not kill? No, they kill. They go out and they kill. They do it. They're in the field. They're working at it, guys. That's what it is. That's what it is. You got to take souls. Take souls like the Zodiac Killer. Come on, well, not exactly like it, but, you know, his work ethic. That's what I meant. I'm talking about the work ethic, guys. I know it's an odd thing to you know, compare David Goggins' term of taking souls with actual serial killers, but these are the ones who did the work. They put in the work. They did the footwork, right? They were the leg work, I mean, the footwork too. You know, you got to be quick on your feet if you're killing. But they were the ones who were able to get it and get after it. Now, we had this conversation in my group chat with all my buddies, which I get a bunch of material from all the time. And it's really a blessing to be in that chat with them. It's almost like an extended version of the podcast, which is why I love having them on. I love having them on, and you know, because it's always great fun. Great fun! One of my favorite podcasts I've ever done was the one before Christmas Eve with Chris Oldred and Rob Altamari. We got hammered. It was fucking so much fun. That one, I think about that one all the time because it was great. It was literally the perfect podcast for someone like me. It was exactly what I wanted to happen. But what was I getting at with that? Oh, in the group chat, we were talking about serial killers, how they were bad motherfuckers, and we were kind of just rattling off, just like I was with you. And I brought up a point that I feel like I should share with you guys because it got brushed over in the group chat. They didn't want to hear it. Here we go. Here's Antonio again with his hypocrisy, nonsense, and his blabbity blue that we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear the truth. Not all the time, right? Most people don't want it all the time. You know, that's why sometimes my brand of humor is tough, right? My brand of comedy is a little... You know, some people just want to hear stupid jokes. They want to hear stupid shit. You know, they want to hear stuff that is topical. Or they want to hear whatever. They want to hear what they want to hear. And some people want to hear what I want to say. But they brush right over this. And all those serial killers, even the best ones, even the ones that worked super hard, the Mount Rushmore of serial killing, the bar raisers, the whole thing, all those people that I named and all the ones that I didn't name pale in comparison to the truest serial killers, the ones who really, really figured it out. They know how to kill in a series, and that is world leaders. I mean, there is no comparison. They're in their own league, okay? They're in their own league because they figured out a way to make it legal. That's the thing, guys. That's the thing. If there were no laws, right? If there was no concept of laws or no construct of the legal system, any kind of killing would be regarded as bad, right? If everybody agreed that, all right, if everyone took the time to decide, like today, that if you kill somebody, it's bad, right? That's the only rule. There's no laws, there's no nothing, there's no law-abiding body that watches over people killing other people to make sure that it doesn't happen or to make sure that it happens the way we want it to. If that didn't exist, everyone would objectively say, yeah, killing someone else is bad. Any way you do it, anyhow, you know. But once laws come into effect, and the people who make those laws are the same people that can go out and do these mass examples, commit these mass examples of serial murder. Then we got a fun situation. We got a situation where the game is rigged, right? It's essentially rigged. And that's why you got to separate the world leaders from the serial killers, because the serial killers are playing in one stadium while the world leaders are playing somewhere else. Their stadium allows for very little value on human life, right? When you take an individual who's killing other individuals, okay, it's a little more, people are a little more worried, a little more close to home, right? But when we're taking big groups of people and sending them to go kill and bomb other groups of people really far away, it's a little less, you know, you don't think about it. You're like, it's war. It's part of life. It's war. You know, it's not good. It's ugly. You know, people get killed and it's a sad thing. War is hell. War is hell. It's not a good time. You know, that's how you look at it there. But when you look at a serial killer, guy that's operating probably alone, outside of the law that also allows for that other shit that I was talking about bombing other countries. There's no law against that, right? As long as it's justified in whatever capacity that these world leaders see fit, right? You know, something like, you know, they have a lot of resources, or they're getting too powerful, or they want to join some other group that doesn't align with ours, and, you know, we're whatever, right? We got the weaponry. We want to be, or if you just want to make money, right? If you just want to fabricate a war, you can totally do that. You People are wondering why Russia's still doing their thing. I mean, they've been cut off economically everywhere else. So war is profitable. War is a racket, right? That's the old speech by that guy. I forget what it was, but war is a racket. It's military-industrial complex, the whole thing. It's a way to make money. So now he has to keep doing that. He has to keep getting paid. That's his only means. That's his only means. He wants to make sure that they can eat, right? But that's the thing, guys. World leaders they're the kings of serial murder, right? They're able to do it. There hasn't been a just war that the United States has been involved in since World War II. It's the only one, right? It's arguably the only one, because World War I, again, kind of nonsense. The wars before that, I don't know a ton about. But, if you go super far back, obviously, Revolutionary War is a just war. If you look at it from the American side, trying to be free, whatever. Civil War, not a just war, right? Not a good. I guess you could call it just because they're trying to uphold, human rights and whatever. And of course, by the Union winning that war, slavery and racism was forever abolished, right? Of course, that's the thing they tell us, so it's got to be true. But and then there's a bunch of other wars I don't know much about, Spanish-American War and War of 1812 and all this shit. I don't know much about those wars. I don't know, I don't want to go crazy. But I know that the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Desert Storm, the fucking, Afghanistan, that's the most recent one, of course. All those wars were just fabricated for no reason, for money, for, extending the market of arms, right? The weapons market, weapons dealers market, extending that out there, making money, realizing that you can make some real good money off of fucking countries up and, supplying the other side, the side that you're fighting against, right? And kind of doing that, supplying your allies as well. You make a lot of money doing that, right? It's a booming economy when we have an enemy, guys. Everyone's worried now because it's the economy, but we don't have a common enemy. We haven't gone to war with anybody in a little bit. We pulled out of a war that we were engaging in for a while, But all those ones that I named, they're all bad. The only real one was World War II. There was a fucking crazy guy that we needed to take out. We needed to take the motherfucker out, right? And then we used big old bombs on the Japanese because they were helping that other guy, And what did we do? We helped them rebuild, and they paid us for it, right? We bombed them, we helped them, and now we're best of friends, us in Japan. So it all works out in the end, but I just wanted to make that point. I wanted to bring that point up to you guys because it's very on brand with this show in that world leaders are the biggest serial killers, the biggest perpetrators of murder that exist because of the abundance of resources, the being on the right side of the game, right? It's funny if you call it war, then it's fine. But if you call it murder, now we're getting into some legal stuff. We're getting into some legalities, right? And yes, there's rules of war and there's these things, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they kill more people than any serial killer that's ever existed, right? Ever. And that's how it's been across the board since the beginning of time, right? The world leaders, the most powerful guys in the known world, whenever that was, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, all these motherfuckers killed, and killed some more. The kings, the queens of England, all them. Murder, kill. They're the best at it. They're the best at it because they got the power, they got the right side of the law, and they got the words, they got the right verbiage. Like I said, murder, bad, war, good. Not bad. You can murder within war, and it's not bad. So That's what it is, guys. Again, thank you so much for bearing with me. It was very sucky. It was a sucky feeling to not be able to get an episode out on Thursday, especially because of all the feelings I was going through and the whole nine. And knowing that I could have, at some point, if I didn't wait till Wednesday, right, which I normally like to do, but if I didn't wait till Wednesday, I could have maybe got an episode out to you. But, hey, that's what it is. Shit happens. Thank you for bearing with me. Dates. We have some dates, okay? This Friday, I'm going to be at the Bean House or Bean Barn. I think it's the Bean Barn in Coventry, Rhode Island. I think it's a $10 admission fee. It's an early show, 7:30 on a Friday, so you can bang it out and go out and get fucked up afterwards. The following week, I'll be at Stand Up New York, one of my favorite fucking places that I've gone to. I'm so happy anytime they invite me back. That'll be the 14th. And then October the 23rd. Hold on, let me grab my calendar here. Oops. I think it's the 23rd. That's a Sunday. I'm going to be at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, of course. And there's one more. Actually, there's two more. Comedy Connection. And then I'm hosting. I'm hosting I'm hosting Boomerangs on Sunday, October 9th. So that'll be this Sunday coming. And then November 17th, I'm doing Revival Brewing. Shout out to my man Wole for giving me the opportunity, giving me a shot. He's fucking awesome. I've wanted to get him on here, but it's tough. I get it. He's got his own podcast. Check his out. It's called the Pregame Podcast. I think he does it on Fridays. He's got a nice setup, real nice setup. But either way, guys, thanks for playing along. Thanks for listening. I'm going to talk to y'all on Thursday. Peace. Oh, me again. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.